Hey there, welcome to SharkCast Potter Podcast, dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. This show is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Crips and Crips Real Estate. I'm Sam Shinazzi, OG 2015. On the other end of the line, we have Josh Bolling, and we are here to talk about what the heck happened on, was it Saturday night, Josh? Yeah, Saturday night.
Yep.
And then we're talking about all your mail, and we've got a derby coming up. It's a huge short week for the Sharks and for the SharkCast, and there's nothing else we'd rather be doing. Josh, I know you were distant from the ground on Saturday, but I know you saw every second. You took it all in like you always do. What do you reckon happened out there?
Yeah, well, firstly, I just want to apologize if anyone out there, I hear a couple of sniffles or some coughs. I'm battling a shark flu. Convinced that the Sharks made me sick after that performance, but yeah, pretty hard one to take. I actually think that's probably the lowest I felt after a loss in a really long time. Like, we've had some bad losses and we've been disappointed, but that one was, I saw for the first time a little lack of fight, which I think was the most disappointed by. I can always accept a loss if there's a lot of effort and they're trying things. I think that was the first time that the team looked really shell-shocked across the board, that no one seemed to have any answers. And I'm just a little lost at the moment for where this team's at and the mentality of the team.
So watching the game back, we were in it at halftime, like down by 2, I believe. And looking at our halftime stats only, we were down 5-2 in the penalty count. But we still had an 86% completion rate, and we actually had 54% possession. Now, let's just say from the start, Warriors are a very good team. They're where they are, rightly so, because of good all over the park, and they brought it on Saturday night. They were, in the first half, completing at 95%, which is remarkable. But it was the second half, Josh, where it all went wrong for the Sharks. I know the first half wasn't great, but we were still in it. Second half, if I look up the stats there, I mean, the possession drops to 48%. The offloads kick in. The other thing I want to address straight away is tries from kicks. Now, we, along with Canberra, are conceding the most tries from kicks in the NRL. Now, that doesn't make you a bad team, because Canberra are, second or third, and we're fifth. However, over 30% of our tries conceded overall are from kicks. So I'm not saying fix that and you fix the problem of losing, but I don't think it's as disastrous as what Shark Nation is trying to portray. Now, there's things you've talked about already, and I can't remember exactly what you said, but something like lack of trying, lack of heart muscle, etc. in the second half. And we all saw that. And whether that's true or that's our perception, that's what we saw. And 2 weeks in a row, really conceded over 40 points. They've never conceded 40 points in 3 straight. So let's hope to God that doesn't happen this week. But they're out of sorts. It's uncharacteristic for this team. In the Fitzgibbon era, 4th season, this is very uncharacteristic. There's all sorts of things flying around about the coach and the players and da. But you and I have spoken about this, Josh. We're never really in that bad a spot under this coach with this current team. Things can get bad, but they're usually short term. So it's a tough one to sort of dissect without sort of going full blown blow up everything. What in the second half do you think went wrong? Because it was 14-12. They scored straight away, which was a massive problem in the second half. But what's going on there?
Oh, I think what I noticed was that the Warriors played such a simple but effective game plan. They rolled through the middle, quick play of the balls. They were offloading at will at times, kicking into corners, and every set it felt like we were starting inside our 10 meters. And then we were just unable to do that. We were unable to apply any pressure. We'd give away a penalty or a 6 again. We'd drop the ball. at crucial times when we were in the 20. I thought the first half when we were inside the 20, we actually looked quite sharp and threatening. And the second half, when we got down there, we really seemed to struggle to put anything together, and it looked rushed. The fifth tackle options I thought were abhorrent. I thought the amount of times we ran the ball in the last for nothing for a crash ball to Wilton or Nakora on the last, or turning someone under, and like put a kick in, put a crossfield kick in, put a grubber in. I'm really getting frustrated with the fact that we refuse to kick the ball because we're so scared of giving away a 7 tackle set. But whatever we do it, most of the times we get a result.
Yeah,
so I don't know what they're so scared of.
There were 2 moments in that game. One was Hamlin Worley, and I think one was Iro. And catch the ball from the crash play, and that's probably 12 points there. Like, they were on. So I don't mind them doing it, but it has to pay off. And what you're saying is it didn't pay off, and then you wasted the kick opportunities as well. So I understand that. But, I mean, looking at the forward pack, Josh, one guy got over 100 meters. Now, we, especially on this show, we rely heavily on that stat for whatever reason. We just look to 100 meters or more. And that was Talakai with 168 meters. To be fair, Fanua Blake was 2 meters off. But I really thought the go forward wasn't amazing. But having said that, we did spend some time in the opposition 20 and couldn't get the points from there. So it's a bit of a weird situation there. You look, I mean, the back 5 all got over 100, except for Iro, who went off after 50 minutes. So a number of things there. What did you make of the Teague Wilton return? He had 75 meters, 31 tackles, what did he have? About 13 possessions. What did you make of Teague's return?
I thought he was probably one of the few that actually was trying to change momentum. There was a couple of times where he shot out of the line to try and put a hit on, and he was running really hard, and he was at times I think his missed tackles counter column is a bit deceptive, because I think he was covering for a lot of other guys that were missing and falling off tackles.
Yep.
He was probably one of the few that I actually thought could hold his head up high. But just, I don't think they weren't using him in the right way on Saturday. It's just those crash balls that the Warriors knew were coming every time. You saw like Nico or Trinder would skip across field. Teague would be hitting that line, running 100 miles an hour, but there'd be 3 guys there waiting for him. So if that's the case, kick in behind, pass out, do a shape out the back. If you're setting up for that, we never saw any change of that sort of style. And I felt a little bad for him, because it just felt like he was trying to do a lot of the grunt work and cleaning up tackles and everything. And a lot of the guys around him let him down, I thought.
I think the biggest disappointment for most was off the Roosters game into the bye, into this huge game. And even in the first half, even when we were in the game, even up until half time, the energy wasn't amazing. Now, they weren't that bad in the first half. I thought Nico Hines, I've been ripped apart from pillar to post for this one, but I thought Nico Hines in the first half was one of the better players on the field. I thought he had the energy. I thought he was being creative. He was heavily involved, and there were some really beautiful touches. Now, I know in the second half it fell apart. I know there was an intercept. I know there was a bad kick towards the end. I get all that, and it all adds up. It all counts. But I will say the game was long gone when those things were happening. But the lack of energy as a team, particularly I think with the forward pack, that was what was concerning after a 2-week break.
I am getting close to thinking that a change or two needs to be made in the front row. I'm just Kafusi's performances are really worrying me in the last probably month or so. I thought he started the season quite well, and his numbers aren't terrible for this game, but like just the ineffectiveness I thought of some of his runs. He was pushing some offloads. Like, I like that he brings that. It's that's something that he brings to the side that is encouraging. Is he's always looking for an offload, but so ineffective. And he's been caught out a few times now throughout the season, just getting beat on the outside. I don't know if he's just getting caught on an edge, or I don't know what it is, but he's just been beaten really easily a few times now. That's costing us really easy tries. That one where he just got ran around near the end of the game in the second half I was furious, to be honest. I just thought it was such a bad attempt. And there's some other guys there that aren't helping him. I thought Colquhoun was pretty ineffective too. Not that I don't think he got many chances, but he was largely ineffective. Talakai was the best player for us on the field easily. I'm sure we'll get to him later.
Yeah.
Ueli has these moments and he looks great. And then he has hands like feet, though. Like, I don't ever want to see him take a crash ball at the line ever again, because he drops it every single time. And then he drops the try over the line. No chance, did a great effort to get across, but he's got to score that.
Yeah.
It's just so hot and cold, Ueli at the moment. And
he had sort of 3 to 4 massive hit ups where he was sort of getting 10, 15 meters, really bustling. And that's when you thought, okay, here we go, we're on.
Yeah.
But there were other moments that weren't so glamorous. It was a weird game. My friend Brendan, who you've met at the game, he brought his little kids to the game and they had to leave at halftime, and it was 14-12, and he goes, "We can win this, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, they'll come out. They've got to play better than they did in the first half." But they didn't. Again, the Warriors were a really good team. Like, let's not take anyone away from those guys. But the Sharks as a whole, better than much better than the Roosters game, but the result was the same, which is disappointing. So as we record this, we're not sure what the team lineup's going to be, so we won't speculate too much on that. But we did see the return of Sione Katoa, who I thought was pretty good, actually, for a guy who he played half a trial game since last
if that
September. So I thought his energy was great. He had 17 runs for 160 meters. He only had to make 3 tackles, didn't miss any, made a line break. So I was happy with his return, but I thought they really risked Ronaldo as well. I thought that
big time.
When that mongrel was needed, that lip, that attitude, even just the positivity, like take away the kind of aggressive stuff, the positivity he brings, which people don't really talk about too much. He brings a lot of positivity to the team. It was flat. It was like the crowd. The crowd was really flat, and the team played really flat, and it was pretty disappointing. I know the coach is, and we'll get to the coach, but the coach is not happy, and the players aren't happy. The club's not happy with that. Sold out crowd. One of the games of the round, and he dished that up. It's just not good enough. So they got a short turnaround against the Drags. Let's talk a little bit about, just for a few minutes, Josh, what would you do as coach for this game? And again, we repeat, we're not sure what's happening at the time of recording. When you hear this, it may be different, but we know Iro's not going to be there. We know Ronaldo's back. I don't know of any more returning guys. So what would you do in the centers, for example?
Well, I think if Hiroti is fit, I think he'll play. He did look a bit ginger as well. I think a lot of the side looked busted. With a lot of the injuries on top. But I think you probably go Hiroti just because he's been there a couple of times this year. It's probably not the time, I think, to be debuting someone when the form is the way it is and the pressure that's on. I'd probably hold off. So
you wouldn't go Talakai?
You know what? Maybe I would actually. Maybe I would.
Don't forget who we're playing. With no respect, but we're not playing a great team.
Now that I think about it, I think I'd put Talakai at the centers, just if nothing else, just for the meters. We just need some help getting out of our own end, because I think we're struggling a little bit with that at the moment. And just if we can get some shape on the edge, he'll finish it. He'll pass.
Yeah,
I think that actually is probably the right way to go. Now, depending on Katoa's fitness, and Hiroti, obviously. I think if either of them are fit, they take the other wing spot.
Okay.
I'd honestly be looking at dropping Kafusi.
Mm-hmm.
I think he needs. I think he
Like
needs to be.
completely.
Yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
18th man or something. I just think he needs to be sort of held accountable for his performances of the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the one thing with Fitzy, I think that if I've got one criticism of him, he refuses to change. Now that can be a good thing and bad thing, but I think in moments like this, there needs to be some standards set and there needs to be some repercussions for your performances. And I think one of the issues with this side is that everyone feels a little safe, I think, and that they know that they're probably not going to get dropped. And whether that's subconscious or consciously, that plays in your mind that, I'll probably get picked anyway. And there's some kids, like Puru is the example we bring up a lot. He's chomping at the bit to get a crack in first grade. And we saw the Warriors guys, the guys who have everything to prove, and they're trying, and they're young, they're big, they're strong, they're aggressive, and they want to prove to themselves and their teammates that they belong. I think we just need to spark that.
The only thing with Puru is he's not a prop. Like he's a middle, but he's not a prop. So it's not a like for like.
You put Ueli to start. I think that might be good for him to start him, and you bring a Puru on for McInnes through the middle. Just to, he can link the play. Hopefully he's able to have fast feet, fast play of the ball. Just a change of dynamic. I think is just sparked something.
So I'm guessing you're not keeping Atkinson on the bench.
No.
And that means that, and you've got Talakai in the centers. So you've got Colquhoun and you've got Puru. Who's your other two subs?
So then I'd be looking at potentially Burns as a bench spot, just for a bit of. He's probably like the coverage of someone who could fill in at second row, and the core could go to center if anything goes wrong. And I think you look at someone, another guy who's maybe chomping at the bit to earn a crack. Like what's his name?
Like a Tuku or someone, or
like a Tuku, or just someone to bring something different.
Because you need some middles there, but we're getting a bit thin on the middles in your bench.
Yeah, that's why I think you bring in someone who has been out of the side for a few weeks. You got Tuku on the bench. You've got Talakai on there. You've got Colquhoun on your bench, and I'd play him more. I'd probably give Ueli a shorter stint to start, like 20 minutes. Bring him off, get Colquhoun in the front row. Then you bring Puru on for McInnes. And as they're not props, they could still play that middle game if needed, if you need to be a bit lighter through the middle. Because St. George aren't fit, and I think maybe that smaller, more dynamic pack around AFB, and then you bring a Tuku on for an explosive 15 minutes and just say go for it, just absolutely rip and tear. I think that just to try something. I just think.
Even in that respect, I'm not saying this is what I would do, but going with what you're suggesting, you could even possibly have a Beryl there to play as a middle. Yeah. Obviously not a prop. He's a little guy, but he's tough and he can play lock and hooker. So, and he deserves a shot. He's been really good this year in lower grade. So yeah, okay. That's interesting. We'll find out what the coach is going to do, or at least have some idea. We'll know on Thursday at about 7:00. I felt disappointed for Blake Brayley. He started the game really well. He himself wasn't fantastic either, but all the celebration at 150, the family was there, his brother was there, his dog Bacon was there. No, sorry, I take it back. His dog Bacon was not allowed to be there, but he wanted to be there. I felt sorry for him, but that's just how it goes. I know he would have preferred the win than any kind of fuss made, but they had a lot to play for, and it didn't happen. And it's you'll be hearing about it any minute now that Britton Nicker is playing his 150th this week against the Dragons. So there's more reasons to kind of put in that extra effort for your teammate. But yeah, it just didn't happen. Crowd, I'll tell you, Josh, in the house they were pretty disappointed, and rightly so. Pretty verbal about it. The loudest they got was when they were complaining. I will say that the Eero family and extended family were there with their drums. They were out playing as part of the Cook Islands league tour kind of thing. And they had a whole bunch of drums, and they were singing the whole time, and playing the drums, and that was nice. but it's about as loud as it got at Shark Park. So local derby coming up, so hopefully we need to fire up a bit more. Excuse that term. Shouldn't use that term. But yeah, disappointing overall, Joshy. I don't know if there's much more to say about that because we're going to get into the mail and talk about people's thoughts, which will cover a lot of what we haven't covered. And before we get there, we want to tell you about our friends at the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking. They have an awesome restaurant called The Galley. It's award-winning, and if it's not winning awards, it should be. And they encourage everyone to go down there. It's a great place, even if you're not hungry, just to go have some drinks, alcoholic, non-alcoholic. You can watch the footy in numerous bars there, big screens. They're big Shark supporters. They support the Sharks. They support SharkCast. And it's just a really nice place to go. Family friendly, all ages welcome. And you do not need to be a member to get in these days, although they do obviously encourage it. Get in touch with them, 9523 9300. And they have a website, rmycph.com.au. Tell them SharkCast sent you. All right, Josh, let's get to the mail. You can imagine how it was. We also want to thank everyone who joined the live show after the game. Huge response, and we can't thank you enough. Whether you were watching, whether you were dialing in, whether you were commenting, we appreciate it all. And let's just keep it going. It's a lot of fun, even on dark nights like last Saturday. I think we'll start with the emails here, Joshy. And now, where do we go from here? Okay. Thanks to everyone for leaving the YouTube comments. I always reply to those. Now, Ted has left a voice message, Josh. And I am going to attempt to play it.
Just wanted to share a story. Oh, sorry. Hey, Sam, it's Ted from the Central Coast. Just wanted to share a story from the Roosters game that I thought you'd find interesting. Maybe, I'm not sure. But just in regards to the players or people that have messaged in the past and been like, oh, how do I explain this loss to my kid? We went to the game and we watched and we lost and my kid's sad. And how do I explain this to my kid? And so the Roosters game was the 24th of May, which was my second year anniversary with my wife, wedding anniversary. It was her first ever Sharks game. I took my three nephews. It was their first ever Sharks game. One of my other nephews, he's been to another with us. His wife, it was her first Sharks game. And the Sharks gear, all for me, because they love me. The Sharks. So all that, and we got flogged, and we turned out a horrible performance, and it sucked. And that's fine. It happens. No one really made me song and dance about it. But the next day, we went to the beach, and I took my Sharkies jersey, and so did my two little nephews. They were still wearing their Sharkies jersey. They'd already forgotten about it and moved on to next week. I don't know why losing has to be the end of the world. But that just is a little story I thought could have been a hurtful day and a sad day and could have kicked stones about it, but I still got to spend the day with all my family and friends and watch the club I love play shit football. Sorry, bad football. Go the Sharks.
All right, Josh. I don't know if you caught that much of that, and I have to apologize. That was on the fly. I didn't even think about technology and people watching it on YouTube, etc. We'll put the nice audio on the audio version of this. We'll chuck it in for Ted. First of all, thanks for being in touch. Really appreciate it. Did you hear all that, Josh? Okay.
Didn't catch much of it, to be honest.
That's okay. That's okay. So I might even edit the video if I can. But basically, Ted has said that, how do you explain, because people write in to us and to social media and they say, how do I explain to my kid that the team was so bad and we traveled all this way? And so he went to the Roosters game with his family and they all wore jerseys because they love Ted. They don't really love the Sharks. They love Ted. And they lost, obviously. And then the next day he was at the beach and he was wearing his jersey and he realized it didn't really matter because he's with his beautiful family. And the listeners now have heard the rest of that story. So timely because of how the world has meltdown since the last game. And Ted, appreciate you calling in. We promise if you dial in on the website like that and leave us a message, we'll promise we'll handle it better. But I just wanted to get Ted's opinion on there. So James has written in and said, let me get this straight. Fitzgibbon has Atkinson on the bench to cover the backs. Tonight, a back got injured and Talakai shifted to the centre and Atkinson playing in the forwards. So why on earth do we have him on the bench when he comes on to play in the forwards? Why not have Burns or Tuku? That is from James. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there, James. I think maybe he played a little bit of centres and then switched. They switched for whatever reason. But yes, obviously Talakai played the majority of that time in the centres.
I don't think I want Atkinson covering centre anymore. We've just seen so many times. He's just, for as good as he is at filling in little roles here and there, it's one position we can't have that small body against, a big centre just rampaging. I just think that Talakai, that was the right move to put him there. That's why I just think it's not worth having Atkinson there for 10 minutes to kind of just fiddle around the field and run around the headless chook a little bit. I'd rather have Tuku or just someone else just to come and power on for 10 or even if it's 10 minutes, just to give someone a little breather. Even coming on and if Trindle or Hines gets injured, I just don't know how much that's going to impact the game. I'm just kind of over it now.
All right. Peter says, very disappointing. Handling errors and discipline let us down early. We never recovered. He also thinks that people have worked out Britton Nickera's angle running. He's trying to find a positive, and that was that Ramian was improved and Will Kennedy was better despite the costly drop in our goal. Having said that, I'm still gutted, Sharky Pete. That's from Pete. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Who we got here? DB says, something stinks, and at the moment, there doesn't look like anyone has a clue how to change the momentum or think outside the plan. We look slow and weak. Yeah, it's a good point. Like watching that from the upper Andrew Eddinghausen, and at times it just looked like going through the motions, not sure what else to do. You do a hit up, I'll kick the ball.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's not intent behind it, but I think it's a good point. Like I think Nico sort of tried to do some things late in the game, and the game was already gone, and that led to some errors as well. But we need that stuff to break the game. When it's 14-12 and it's not happening and they score early in the second half, you need something to get us back into it. So disappointing stuff. Nathan says, hope you're going okay after that horrendous performance. Perhaps this is premature, but I have the pen at the ready, poised to put a line through our season. The blueprint to beat us is now widely available. It's up to Fitzy now to show us that he's capable of change. If he doesn't, the season is toast. I strongly feel if we lose to the Dargans, that's the season done. They are a horrible team. Smash the dirty merge if we don't start booking the trip to Bali in September. As always, thanks for all you do, from Nathan. Well, thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it. Appreciate your support. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. I am not a person to put through lines through anything, but I will say that this is a must-win game for all sorts of reasons, Josh.
Absolutely. I just think if anything else, just to get some confidence back and stem the bleeding, get 2 points, stop. I think we've been very lucky the last 2 weeks with our losses, and with the bye, we haven't really dropped any positions yet, but I think another loss, we'll see the slide happen quite quickly. So we can just get a win, get back in the winners' books and get some confidence going and stem that bleeding. I think, I mean, the season's not over by any stretch, but it's looking dicey. And if we do lose, and it's free fall.
I think when people talk about the season, we're talking top four, and we're talking, if you don't make top four, you're not much of a chance. I'm sure some people think we could maybe finish 8th. But I mean, what's the point? And I understand that notion. Now, we have another voicemail. I think it's from a different Ted. I'm not sure. We'll be able to find out. I'm just going to play it, Josh, just to be consistent, and I'll let you know what he says if you can't hear it. I've turned it up a little bit. Hopefully there's no swearing. If it is, we'll edit it out.
For the 3rd week in a row, 2nd round in a row, I leave the game feeling incredibly disappointed. This team has absolutely no heart.
Ooh.
It must feel very embarrassing looking up at the crowd, seeing everyone walking out on you, and to sit there and not be able to take that. I don't even know if these boys would actually care. If it would even make an emotional blip on their radar.
Oh,
very embarrassing, boys.
All right. Thanks, Ted. I think it might be the same Ted. Josh, he wasn't happy leaving the game and saying that the team must be embarrassed. He's not sure even how much of a blip it would make on their personalities. I can tell you this, Ted, and they're not my mates or anything, but I mean, even just this morning, I interviewed Britton Nickera, and they feel it. Like they feel it. They may not feel it like you feel it. It might be a different feeling, but I'm just going to stick up to them a little bit. They're not happy when this stuff happens, and they don't just shrug it off. I saw other guys in and around the camp in the last few days, and they're not happy. So, but I appreciate what you're saying. You're the one going out to the games, paying your hard-earned, and it's not good enough. And I think everyone agrees with you there, including the team. Stephen says, this is a massive vent. Sorry. Don't be sorry, Stephen. I may have to edit it, but don't be sorry. The last 2 weeks have been unacceptable. And now the season is over. So, as I just close something here, everyone, what I'd like to know is how we can play like we did against Melbourne and then turn out the rubbish we have over the last 2 games. My pet hate is not having a crack, and that's exactly what they've done for the last 2 games. We'll be lucky to make the 8. This is typical of us as a club. Even when we won the comp, we were never comfortable. I can't believe how ordinary we are as an entire club. We can't even have a leagues club without some sort of drama. So just on that, Stephen, completely appreciate you disappointed. Let's not include the football club with the leagues club stuff because that's not realistic. I know it falls under one banner, but it's 2 completely different worlds. Just on that. I'm going to disagree with you on the 2016 thing because the only people that were uncomfortable during 2016 were superstitious fans, including myself, including Josh, including all of SharkCast. Very superstitious, very, this can never happen. We've lost 2 in a row. We're going to, I get it. But that team was dynamite, elite, one of the greatest teams. And I mean this intellectually, one of the greatest teams that was ever put together. And they would have been really unlucky to lose that premiership. They were that strong. However, moving on. Criticism on Hamlin Welly. Criticism for Britton Nickera. Criticism for Kafusi. Trindle has been less than impressive this year after signing a big deal. Atkinson is very critical of and includes the fact that he's going to the Dragons next year. He's hoping Hohepa Puru gets a shot on the bench. I haven't been this wound up for a while. Gone from premiership contenders to never wers in half a season. That's from Tomo, Stephen Tomo. So appreciate you being in touch. Hope you're feeling a bit better as the days have gone on. We have a derby to get to, Tomo. We need you there for it, whether physically or spiritually. We need you there. I understand what you're saying. A lot of these players are not playing to their capabilities. As a team, we're definitely not. But I would stress to separate the business side of the club from the football. That's a fair thing to say, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, I think so. Like the on-field performances are in no relation, I think. And not that I think Steve was saying that, but I don't think there's any correlation between.
No. I think you're muted again, Joshy. Are you muted? Sorry. I've lost you. We've lost Joshy. Uh-oh. Yeah, press it back off. Unmute.
You're there?
Oh, you're back. Yeah, continue on.
Yeah, I think there's not really any correlation that I could find between off-field. I think that is a little superstitious, and again, I'm not saying that that Steve thinks that's the case, but
yeah,
a team can be horrendous off the field and making all these mistakes and poor and still be elite on the field. I think that's just a little superstitious, and that's where we're at as a fan base. I think mentally we're all just thinking it's all.
I understand.
And
I understand. Yeah, we understand. Neil's been in touch. Neil says, I've been in denial since the Tigers debacle. Rose to the occasion to beat the Storm. Heads grew back slapping after that win. It came back to haunt us against the depleted Roosters. That was written off. We needed the bye. We'll freshen up. We came out with everything to play for at home, only to be embarrassed. We aren't as hungry as our opponents. Why? Last year, we were one game off a grand final. I wasn't expecting this team to become easy beats. Coach needs to turn this team around fast. The comp is so close. No team can be taken lightly. Terrible to see Iro injured, one of our best. I think it's time to go to market and bring in some talent. Special mention to Talakai and AFB. They've stood up and given us go forward every week. They can't do it on their own. They need some help. The biggest concern for me is lack of mongrel and hunger to win games. Also talks about a lack of leadership. I hope we can turn it around against the despicable Dragons. Thanks for being there for us, SharkCast. It's good to know I'm not suffering alone. You're definitely not alone ever, Neil. So you always have a home here. I think that's all fair. I would say the biggest thing I agree with you is the perceived hunger and mongrel, as you put it. Now, I don't think for a second this team doesn't want to win. I don't think for a second this team doesn't try their best. But what their best is on a week-to-week, game is very different, because we saw 3 weeks ago against Melbourne, comp favorites almost, and then as in we were, and then we've seen the last two games, obviously just terrible. So I'm not sure what happens when they cross the white line, because the warm-ups are really good. We've all seen those. The training sessions have been really good. Like last week I saw 2 training sessions and they were crazy good, and I'm not suggesting they were too good, but they were exactly what I wanted to see. Can't explain it, but appreciate you, Neil. Bunch of YouTube comments which we've replied to. Thanks to everyone who subscribed to YouTube and all the other things you can subscribe to. If you could do that for us, we'd really appreciate it. So if you're not following us on, for example, the Facebook, but you have Facebook, then follow SharkCast. If you're not following us on YouTube, but you have YouTube, follow us on YouTube. It all helps. So appreciate that. Phoenix has been in touch. 80 points in 2 games conceded. All I hear is talk about moving players on, changing the team. That won't make any difference. There's one problem here, and that's attitude. If the opposition have top players out, the team seems to think they'll win easy. After each bye, we always lose. Well, that's not true for starters, but I understand what you're saying. Giving away dumb penalties, etc. We end up defending too much. The coach says they played faster, they tackled harder. The question I have for the coach is, why don't we play faster and tackle harder? That's a great question. He's wondering why we're not the team coming out fast, scoring fast, etc. Toughen up. I've seen them do it before, but lately we are pushovers. It's Derby week. I hate them Dargans. I want to blow them off the field with 50 plus, but what worries me is the same attitude may cost us the one game we need to win. I'm not confident, whereas I normally would be. A short turnaround, no Iro. Atkinson on the bench is not the right move. He's giving the decision of keeping Atkinson on the bench a D- for the coach, a D-. And then some other suggestions here. Okay, so wanting a win on Thursday night, nothing less, up, go Sharks. That is from Phoenix. So appreciate you being in touch, Phoenix. We dislike the Dragons just as much as you, my man. But on that, yeah, very critical of the bench, Josh, which we've covered. So we might leave that one there, but we know how Phoenix feels. Corey says 2 big losses in a row is not Shark-like. Underperforming Sharks in big games, chips are down, lose composure, and look beaten with no answers. He's not happy with the halves. He thinks the kicks went sideways, which they did. Some of those kicks were just shanked, I guess.
Yeah.
He thinks that they need to run more direct and a bit critical of the halves not doing as much as they should be. He thinks that he can't blame the forwards because they don't go forward without the halves leadership. But he's also saying not the forwards aren't necessarily doing their job, which is interesting because most people like myself would say the halves can't do their job if the forwards don't go forward. But he's suggesting that, when they are in the ruck and they're like, hey, AFB, you're next, come on. Like he seems to think there's a bit of an issue there. So we might need to watch that back. The Sharks haven't looked hungry for a while. I feel sorry for the supporters who travel to games and flown many miles to watch the Sharks. Coach seems like he hasn't any idea how to fix this. And he's suggesting we look at the Wigan coach, Matt Pete. He also says we had lethal attack under John Morris, but now it's gone and turned to this flat nowhere attack. Local derby, good luck, Sharks. I have no confidence, but get the win. What I'll say about the John Morris situation is that we had very good attack, but we had literally no defense. Now, I know you can jump back now and go, well, you've conceded 80 points in 2 weeks. I get that. But for the bulk of the time under Fitzgibbon, we've been a top 5 defensive team. I know we haven't won a comp. I know we've only won one finals game or whatever, but the defense is the reason why John Morris wasn't around. Everything else was great. So let's not go crazy with that stuff. But I respect your opinion. Happy to read it out. Where do you see the halves, Josh? I mean, I think Trindle's nowhere near what he was last year. As I said a couple of times, I thought Nico in the first half was decent and not a lot of people going with him. I know you got to play 80 minutes. I get that. But I knew when I saw that intercept that the spotlight would be on him and almost him exclusively. And I thought that was really unfair.
Yeah, like you, I thought Nico's first half was actually really good. He ran the ball a lot. He was engaging the line, poked his nose through a few times. Needed guys with him. Needed Kennedy on his hip, and no one was ever there to support him, which comes back to that lack of effort and hunger, I think. Excuse me. And Trindle just seems all over the place. It looks like his mind is running a million miles an hour. He's trying to set his edge up. He's thinking about what he's going to do before he does it. And we see that a couple of times this season when he just drops the ball cold off a Brayley pass to his chest, where he's already thinking about the pass or the kick or what play he wants to set up without thinking in the moment. And I think that's probably Trindle's biggest knock at the moment, is just staying in the moment and keeping a calm head. I will say that I think Trindle's effort has been one of the better ones in the side. I think he reads play really well defensively when he'll come back and cover up a kick, or he's chasing down as hard as he can for the interceptor. When that intercept at the end that Nico threw, Trindle was so close to getting him, and at the 76th minute when the game was dead.
Yeah,
I like that. Like that's still that. And so I know that with Trindle, he's just trying way too hard.
Mm-hmm.
But with Nico, I think there's a lot of accountability in himself, but I think a lot of guys are not thinking the way he is, and I think he's playing a different game at times where he's zigging when they're zagging and vice versa. And I just think that everyone needs to get on the same page right now. I think
does that mean they're both at fault if they're on different pages?
Definitely,
like him and the other crew.
I think so. I definitely think that. I think Nico sees the game in a different way to a lot of the other guys, and in the previous years he's just been able to do it by himself. And now that he's so heavily targeted, it's a little harder for him to do that. And he just needs guys to come with him. But having said all that, he was really poor in the second half. He was really poor, and I think he looked a little lost at times. Whereas I think Trindle was just frazzled. So it was just a recipe for disaster. And Blake wasn't able to do anything with just we were getting battered. We were making no meters. Yeah. Kennedy was a ghost, whether that's himself or the team just being, so well beaten. But the couple of drop balls the last few weeks after we've said he's safe as houses, it's been a little disappointing.
Yeah, the try, the second kick that they scored from, where it bounced and he just got to do better than that. Like I had a really good live vision of that, and then I watched the replays, and it's like you got to do better, bro. Like you tried, you were there, but not good enough. Execution. Justin was in touch last week when I was talking with someone, I can't remember who it was on the show, about Valentino, the great Valentino, playing in the Red V against the Sharks for the first time.
Not there.
But Justin has pointed out he probably won't be there, and I went, that's a great point and beauty. I don't have to worry.
Are you happy about that?
Yeah. I don't want to. I love the guy. I love the guy. I don't want to see him in that jersey playing against us. Hopefully for round 2 derby, he's got the Josh Bolling sniffles and he can't play or whatever. So, all right. Buckwit was in touch, said, this is embarrassing. Sharks are out enthused, hopeless effort. Steve said, 2 weeks in a row, 80 points, facing uphill battle to be in the top 4, 6 points behind the top 4, etc. Not a fan of Atkinson in the 17. The derby, his most despised hatred of a team, the drag queen's little sister. If we can't beat them, expect a very angry me after the game. Okay. I'll be ropeable and your message box will probably blow up. Well, that's like after any loss, to be fair, Steve. And I'm all for it. Bring it on. We love hearing from everyone. So keep saying we cannot lose to them. Yes, agree. Now, this is interesting. It talks about letting go of Metcalf, and I know Buzz Rothfield from the telly and the Fox crew did a number on recruitment, and part of what he said was really factual. Like, we let Metcalf go and we kept Nico and we signed Nico to a huge deal. It's all factual. But first of all, Nico came off a record-breaking season, and I don't think he was off contract, but they just wanted to lock him down. And they did, and we all celebrated it. I think the one criticism you could maybe have is the length of the contract. But at the time, we weren't too fussed about it. On the Metcalf thing, the truth is somewhere in the middle, but I'm led to believe they wanted to keep him. And I'm led to believe he started doing his own contract situation, not waiting on the Sharks, and got a really good deal at the Warriors. And now he's a superstar. So good luck to him. We like the kid. But it's a little bit of a cheap cop-out just to go, we let him go for this guy. It's like, well, yeah, that guy was a Dally M Player of the Year by a record number. So
it's hindsight,
what would you have done? Let Nico go and kept Metcalf. Okay. You would have done that.
Can you imagine?
Okay.
Can you imagine if we'd done that? Like we would have been absolutely ripped to shreds by fans and the media to have a we're going to sign this kid who played 3 NRL games to stay and be at the 7. Like, I think that's really unfair.
So to be fair, Steve also points out that he thinks they kept Moylan for Metcalf, but that's not how it went down, because Moylan was a 1-year deal situation. It was short term. Metcalf's long term. Everyone knew wherever he was going, he was the future down the road. So they had their eye on Trindle. They definitely had their eye on Nico, but the Moylan thing doesn't.
I also know for a fact that Metcalf wanted to stay and was on decent money before he left and got offered very good money to go as well. I know that for a fact.
Of course.
Yeah.
Brent says Derby week, the only thing that matters is to win. No excuses. Losing is not an option. Absolutely agree. I've already been through my pain on Saturday night. A lot of people heard my anger and I'm over it. Just win now. Don't name Atkinson on the bench. Up and destroy the little sister. I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable with the gender stuff, but that's fine. I understand what you're saying. Thank you very much. Now we go over to this platform. Love the platforms. Okay. That's from that person. They want my money. Andrew said... Oh, yeah. Okay. Andrew says, I've been a fan of your podcast since the beginning and a supporter of this club from the day I was born. But I'm declaring this now because there's a huge part of your podcast that supports this. The Fitzgibbon regime. There is something wrong with his coaching style. He can't get the team up mentally for games. I've never seen a better team on paper play so poorly under mental fatigue. Something is wrong. My gut feeling is he's got the best assistant coaches in the game, but he's not someone who's up to the next level. This is our home ground. This is a week off to prepare. This is absolutely embarrassing. That's from Andrew. So, a lot to unpack there. Have you ever seen a better team on paper play so poorly, Josh?
We're seeing one this year in the Brisbane Broncos.
I guess I'm setting it up because I think, Andrew, it's a huge statement you're making. I understand the statement you're making. They should be playing a lot better. We all agree about that. On the Fitzgibbon stuff, my first response to that, Andrew, is yes. I, for one, am a big supporter of what he does. He's not perfect. No one is. But I see a lot in him that I really, really like. And as I said on Saturday night, I can't apologize for that. It's what I believe. My mind can be changed over time, but at this point in time, after 2 losses, I'm not changing my mind. And it doesn't mean I agree with everything that he does. I for one, wouldn't have Atkinson on the bench either. It's nothing against Atkinson. It's just his role is not on the bench. My big question, though, is to Andrew and other people, who would you like that's available? And out of the NRL coaches that are not superstars, so say your Bellamy's, your Bennett's, I'll even throw in a Trent Robinson, what other coach in the NRL is better than him? What's your opinion on that, Josh?
Well, it's like what we always say. I'm always open to change if the change is better. I mean, for who's currently working at the moment in the NRL, who would you rather over Fitzgibbon that we could afford as well? Because we're not exactly able to go and throw $1 million at Wayne Bennett. So would you want Adam O'Brien? No. Would you want Benji Marshall? No. Andrew Webster's not going to be leaving the Warriors anytime soon. I think he's locked up. Like Cameron Serrato ain't going anywhere. And you look at the rest of Ricky Stewart, not going anywhere. So you're either taking a punt and starting fresh on a new rookie coach, or you're looking at the doldrums of, as Des Hasler becomes available at the end of this season. Like, there's just nothing out there for me that excites me to go, yeah, let's get rid of Fitzy because we've lost a couple of games and we look tired and better teams have beaten us. Like, that's, I think, for me, the bigger picture stuff is like, it's okay to lose sometimes when you're not as good as the other team. And we weren't as good and we didn't play well. That's not, and I'm not trying to be critical or anything. It's just, I just don't see the end of the world. Like, it sucks and we're struggling at the moment. But we haven't really felt like this for 3 to 4 years under Fitzy, right? There's not been too many times where we've gone, oh man, like we're really struggling at the moment. We're still in a good spot as a club, I think.
I'll say this, the amount of people that dislike what he does surprises me because of when I look at results, and okay, I understand there's no titles under his work yet, but when I look at his results, I am a guy that's happy that I'm top 4 or, top 6 every year. I don't want to be making up numbers. I don't want to do that. Like, I support an NFL team, and every couple of years they make the playoffs and they bow out. And with this Sharks team under Flanagan, under Morris, under Fitzy, they more or less have been a really strong club. You have to be there to win it. You have to put yourself in that position. So yes, I want to be there. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We try again next year. I don't want to be the team that's 14th for 9 years and then 1 year has a 2016 and wins a comp. I don't want to be that team. That's not fun. Fun is winning games. So it does surprise me the amount of criticism he gets. I completely understand the criticism he gets after 2 losses by 40 points with a week off in between. Completely understand that. I also sometimes struggle, Josh, with how much of it is his responsibility once they run out. Now, he personally would probably say it's all his responsibility. I get that. Any coach probably would. I'm not a coach. I've never coached before. But at some point, we need to look at individuals, but also as a collective, as a team. It's their job to go out there and do what they're going to do. I mean, as I said, training sessions have been good. Mood's been good. Morale's been good. They're looked after. They travel nicely. They get everything they need. They're looked after well, this team. No more than any other team. They're not spoiled, but they don't want for anything. Their job is to go out and play. And sometimes I just struggle with how much of that is the coach's fault. Oh, I didn't get them in the right zone. Well, they looked in the right zone when they were warming up. That's a fact.
And look, you could say that Fitzy brought that team together, and it's his choice to have those players.
It is.
I agree.
It is.
But they've been pretty good for him, and they've proven for the majority of the time they've gotten him to the top 4 nearly every season he's been there, and 6th at 1 year. So there's never been a reason for him not to trust them. It's just that at times, whatever reason, they could be guys that they're all busted and we just don't know. We didn't know that Kaufusi had a broken finger for a month and was playing busted. And those little things, they don't want to use them as excuses. But then at certain points, you just going to be like, okay, well, if you're busted, don't play. Or if you're struggling, don't play.
And I know that the aim is for all the fans is to be like a Penrith or be like a Melbourne and just win no matter what. That's all we want. Absolutely. But how realistic is that for every club every year? I don't know. We thought we were on our way to that, and maybe we've hit a stumbling block, but it's not like we're, in my personal opinion, we're not like years away from that. There may need to be some tinkering. There's guys unsigned. We don't know what the future brings for next year, but yeah. Paul was in touch, good friend of the show. He's not happy. He said enough is enough. I'm done with settling for mediocre. Critical of Kaufusi. Critical of the Atkinson selection. He says Nico, Tricky, and Kennedy were complete non-factors in the game. Also critical of Marwini, thinking 2 games in a row he hasn't been good enough, and potentially a young fella coming in would be a better option. He said Brayley's been enormous all year, but tonight he wasn't. Critical of a lot of people, I should say. He says, I'm not one of the Fitzy to be sacked guys, but questions need to be asked about selections and game plans. This is the one I love the most, and I think he said this on the live show. Sifa is the only bloke I'd let use the club showers after that effort. And he also sends his thoughts to KL because he's a big KL man. Hopefully that's not as bad as what we think. So appreciate that, Paul. And I have to double down on the Sifa Talakai. He was just unbelievable. And he always is, even in a losing team by 30 points. I thought he was terrific. So appreciate you, Paul. Hopefully see you out of the ground. I want to give a shout out to Elo and to Jasper, a couple of chaps I've met in the past. Elo is a young listener of the show. He's 15, but get this, Josh, he's 6'1".
Have we offered him a contract? Play wing?
Well, maybe wing. I don't know if there's much of him, but he plays tennis. Yeah, you could bulk him up a little bit. They sent me a photo of our selfie. He was we were wearing matching Aussie Ducks jackets. So it was great to see those guys. So appreciate their support of the show. Simo says, here's some thoughts for where the Sharks are at for the show. The attack is predictable. We are too structured. And as Gary Dover said on the live stream, teams have worked us out. Our outside backs never get the ball in an attacking position, as the inside pass to Nickera or Wilton is as far as it goes. That's interesting. Also not a fan of the crash plays. Kicking game is predictable. And as Josh says, rather die with the ball than take a chance with an attacking kick. We rarely offload in attack to create second phase play. Defense find it hard to wrap up the ball with an offload. There's a bunch of good things here from Simo. Talks about the bench, quite critical about Atkinson there. And he says, lastly, the effort. Examples include watching the ball on the ground whilst the opposition dives on it, Nico running and no one supporting him, and outside of AFB and Talakai, the forwards don't have enough punch in them. I do think we're at a crossroads for the season and perhaps for Fitzgibbon himself. I'm not saying he should go, but something needs to change. He needs to change. If we keep doing what we've always done, we'll keep getting what we've always got. And that's not good enough for this year. Great show. Keep it up. Love your work. That's some good stuff from Simo. When I say good, I mean very intelligent. Josh, the one that caught my eye was the passing not making it to the centers and wingers. What did you make of that?
Well, it seemed it's kind of what I hinted at the start of the show, is that so much, the crash ball to the second row are all bringing him under and just not giving them any space or any time with the ball to actually make something happen. We have two really, really good centers. Iro in outstanding form, Jesse out of form, but still a really good, solid player. What are they expected to do when they get the ball? They've got three guys in their face. There's no way there's no way to make any shape. There's no way to create space for the winger. The few times that we did do it and actually execute and get them early ball, we looked good. And we just don't do it enough. And I don't know if it's dilly-dallying around with shape and all these tricky little things in the middle of the field. Just get these guys some ball. On Thursday, give Sifa the ball early. Let him run over the top of whoever's in front of him, or set up his winger. Use what advantages we have in this side.
Yeah, well said. Before we go on with a little bit more, I want to say hello to our friend Jason Halls at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. Honest, trustworthy real estate agent. About 25 years in the local business. He grew up in the area. He knows the area back to front. He's a big Sharks fan, Sharks member, Sharks supporter of the show, and a good, honest real estate agent, friend of ours personally as well. Any questions about real estate, no matter how big or small, There are no dumb questions. Call him on 0410 417 450. 0410 417 450. Jason Hawes through Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. Josh said to us, thanks for having me on the post-game show on Saturday night. A tough shift for you after a loss like that, but really appreciate it. The day after the game, the thing that really stung the most was the 28 unanswered points in the second half. 12-10 at half time. We'd worked our way back into it, only to give up 5 tries to nil. Short turnaround now, really important derby. We have to simply win. The team itself is on a bit of a hiding to nothing because a win against the Dragons is always sweet, but given how they're playing, it won't do much to quiet down the noise. But a strong winning performance is a good place to start in a small but important block of games before the next bye. As always, Josh there says it very eloquently. And we might dedicate that one to our friend Clinton. Clinton on the text has been raging. And we'll say that, yes, even if we win this game, of course, they're in a hiding to nothing because it's just the Dragons. But got to start somewhere. So thank you, Josh. And anytime you want to jump on the live stream after the game, please do. Same goes for anyone else. If you're feeling shy about the camera, you can flick your camera off and you can just talk to us without us seeing you. But we'd love to see your smiling face as well. So now, Josh Bolling, before I let you go, what else have we got here? Our friend Fraser left to Bali early on Sunday morning, listening to the podcast on the flight, but he was hoping for a cheerier trip over to Bali after that debacle of a game. And I think that might be all the correspondence. If we've missed it, we will fix it up. Josh, we've got Derby on Thursday.
Yep.
Personal one for me, personal one for you. Do you think we get the job done without having seen the team as we record?
I think we'll win. I mean, maybe I'm praying. I'm not a religious man, but it's getting to that point. We just need a win. I was actually, my brother and my father are both massive St. George fans, and my brother-in-law have all got tickets for the game. Hoping I can recover well enough to go down there, because nothing better than, giving a big one in their face live at the stadium. They hate Ronaldo, so I'm hoping he can come out and score it. My brother hates him.
Where are they sitting?
So we have seats because Dad's unable to stand.
Yeah.
So he's bought seats. I don't know where they are, but
Okay.
it's seated somewhere. So we're hoping if I'm well enough, otherwise they're probably going to go down. But I really want a Ronaldo double just to stick it up him and get a win. I was
going to say we could find out where you're sitting and then get in Ronaldo's ear to say that fella there,
that guy
really doesn't like you. He's been saying stuff about you.
Yeah,
we can arrange that. And nothing is impossible in this world, Josh.
All right, I'll speak to my brother and I'll pass on where the seats are. But I'm looking forward to it. I love a derby. I wish it was not on a Thursday night. I don't know why they ever do that. But look, I think after the amount of backlash, and like one of the writers said earlier, when they're looking up and seeing the stands empty and the dead silence at the ground, I'm really hoping that that's resonated with at least a few of them, and that they try and earn some respect back because they lost a lot. We can see by the letters and the way we've spoken today, a lot of people are pretty disappointed. So I think they have a lot to prove. And if they can play well, score some points and shut out the Dragons, just that might just bring some relief. And God knows we need it.
Yeah, well said. And I'm not someone, whether you believe me or not, I'm not someone that if we win this game by 2 or by 200 points, I'm not going to forget about the last 2 games. I'm not going to say the comp is ours. However, as Josh Conway said just before, it's a small stepping stone to the next week. And as I've said to you, Josh, and a few of our SharkCasters, for me now, it's all about 1 week at a time. I know we're in a 3-game block. I don't care about a 3-game block. I don't care about Brisbane next week. I don't care about Melbourne in 2 weeks. All I care about is the next game, and it's nothing to do with the derby. It's the next game. That's where the Sharks are at right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not where we want to be, but it's the only way to look at it, one game at a time. There is no reason to look forward. There's not one conceivable reason to look forward, and it starts with this game. And the Dragons are coming off their second biggest loss in their club history. Now, club history being since 1999, of course, because that's when their club started.
Dirty
but
merge.
Their second biggest loss. Now, obviously, that works two ways. There's the bounce back, but let's not fear the bounce back. Let's zone in on the fact that it was their second biggest loss. They're going to be missing Valentino Holmes. Anyone else they're missing? That's probably it, right?
I think Stewart's out, and there's someone else that's injured. That's a decent player. But
So
they've got a couple of
they're
dudes.
not going to be at their strongest, is my point. And I've no doubt they'll be better than what they were last week. Last week they were just terrible. However, we've got the team to beat them. We've got more reason to win. And I think we will. But yeah, I'm definitely focusing on one game at a time. And that's how I'm going to be until we go on a run of 3, 4, 5 games and get back to where we want to be. That's how it's going to be, one game at a time. So I'm very much looking forward to it. And there's no reason why. Yeah, there's so many reasons to win this game. So many reasons.
Short turnaround as well, Sam. I think that's a good thing. I think that's
Absolutely.
a good thing, but they don't deserve the rest, to be blunt. And I think they'll want to get back out there straight away and try and turn those things around. Obviously, if there's some bumps and bruises, that might work against us a little bit, but they need to get back out there and earn some trust back, I think. Yeah,
it's going to be fascinating to watch. We do have some more episodes planned for you. They're a little bit out of sync because of the short turnaround from Saturday night. So just bear with us on that, but we will get the episodes out when we can. And we will see you down at the ground. It's going to be fun, I hope. Most derbies are fun. And I can't believe I've worn a trace of red on this video. If you're watching on the audio, if you're listening, I'm actually wearing red and black. So very unlike me to not so much wear something like this, but to wear it on this show in Derby week. So if we lose, that's the reason why. Josh, we'll talk to you soon. We completely appreciate your time today, my friend. And we are so grateful to everyone who listens, who tunes in, who watches. We say it a lot. We mean it every time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll see you down at the ground. This is SharkCast Pod. We will talk to you soon. Up, Cronulla.